Well, racism is natural, let me see. I suppose people do react to visual stimuli, but communication is also natural. And if people communicate and get to talk to one another, then they see the person behind the face. And people can be prejudiced. You hear some people say, what's it, gingers are evil, or what, because people have ginger-coloured hair. Well, why would they be evil? We could discriminate over eye colour, but what sense does that make? So it's what's in there that counts. You've got to dig it out. That means discourse. Anyway, that's my thoughts.
So I think racism is becoming natural due to authorities, media, music, even how to be cool and stuff like that. To be cool is to be like media, and to be like media is they portraying ethnic minorities to be gang mentality, to be like have gang sort of music. They have one or two maybe people from white ethnic minority doing music like that, which tries to show you that the majority is black when there is loads of white rap artists out there. I come from an Islamic background, so from my point of view, there is no racism in my faith. I think people are making racism natural. There's systematic racism in the police. Police will stop a bunch of ethnic minority boys on the side, even if they saw a white group of boys on the other side. I feel like they would instantly feel like they were the perpetrators if they reported a crime done by a group of people. And I think racism needs to be abolished in the authorities and in the system before it can be abolished in the streets. It's done in movies. There's so many movies about it. I mean, racism, I haven't experienced it myself in my area for maybe 10 years now, but prior to that, it was unsafe for someone of my kind to walk around the Camden area due to English people not wanting people from ethnic minorities around. I think the UK has done a lot to abolish it. I mean, there are ethnic minorities in all jobs now, in politics, in court, in the police system and so on. And I think we need to keep doing that to show people that racism isn't natural. It's a chosen thing. People choose to be racist, and let's abolish racism.
I say no. Racism is a learned set of ideas and behaviours that need to be challenged. It's not natural. It's like loving your child is natural, but racism is not natural. It's an opportunity to be abusive. It's not natural.
So this is Speaker's Corner Opinion, and we're going to discuss racism being natural. So I think the first point that I make is that when you're growing up in your childhood, you have all of these influences on your opinion and on your views of other people and those in the society around you. And I think these unconscious biases that people talk about, and I think that falls under the umbrella of racism, is something that you can't actually control. I mean, you can change your views by looking at other people's viewpoints and other people's experiences in life. However, I think that if you have something ingrained from such a young age, whether that's from your parents, from your school, from your workplace, it's very difficult to shake things off. And so I think that would be my first point. The second, I would talk about the differences in society and culture depending on where you're from. I mean, you could argue that somebody from London, a white British male from London, will not be able to assimilate with somebody from, let's say, East Africa, from Somalia, because they have two completely different experiences in life. And so is it racist to say that what one person says of the other, whether it's the Somalian of the Brit or the Brit of the Somalian, that either is racist because they have different experiences in life and they have different views and different cultures and different backgrounds? I don't think it is, and I think that can be sort of categorized as racism when it's not racism, it's just a difference in culture. I think that the term racism is definitely overused. I think that people are branded racist when they say things that are perhaps just slightly controversial, or they don't agree with another person's viewpoint, whether it be culturally or the way that they live their life, or down to religion or any of those other things. So I think that racism is natural to an extent, but what I'm not doing is I'm not saying that racism is okay. I think that people shouldn't be racist, people should be accommodating of one another, but I think people do need to realise that we can't all live with each other and get along with each other culturally all the time, because there are differences naturally in society. So I think that racism is natural, but I don't think it is right. Thank you.
It's a deep question, and I think in today's society and age, as a human, we have become shallow thinkers. We are not deep thinkers, and this question is deep. I say my answer would be racism natural with ignorance. And I say that because humanity cannot live in a state of nature. I mean, when we're born, we send our kids to school to learn mathematics, science. But if we send them to jungle, they will not learn anything. So for me, racism would be natural if you're ignorant. And the only way to not be racist, you have to learn. You have to learn knowledge, reading, writing, experience other cultures, other languages. And by learning things and by teaching, then we cannot be racist, I would say. If you're intelligent, if you're learned, you're not racist. You shouldn't be racist. And that's what I think. Racism would be natural if you're ignorant. Yeah.
I don't think it's natural, from what I understand. I'm not an expert on it, but from what I understand, that racism was something that was developed to separate. And if you look on racism, the word itself, it means a group of people enforcing something on somebody else, a weaker group of people. I ain't got the full definition, but you understand what I'm saying. So racism is not a natural thing. It's something that was created to put or to keep people apart. You understand? To put people in boxes. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think whoever coming up with this natural, what's natural about racism? It's a political statement. You understand? It's not a natural statement from the elements, because the elements is natural. Me and you speak is natural. You speak in your tongue, you speak in your tongue, I speak in my tongue. It's a natural thing. You understand what I'm saying? So how can racism be natural? It's got to be somebody who created racism to divide and conquer, or to keep people under the thumb. And if you look up the definition, as I say, it will tell you clearly what racism is. So why are we coming up with naturalism? I don't understand that. Because it's not a spiritual thing. It doesn't come from a spiritual system. It's got no science behind it. As natural trees, sun, rain, speech, movements, that's all natural. You see what I'm saying? But racism is definitely a political thing to divide people. And if we keep having this kind of questions coming up, people ain't gonna walk as how they're supposed to walk in naturalism. Forget racism, because I don't want to be racist against him. He shouldn't be racist against me. I can't be racist against people of color. Cannot be racist. So where's that natural to me? If I can't be racist to a white man, and a white man could be racist to me, then it's got to be something in politics that has us in this problem. So he knows that there's a group of people that use this racism to get what they want and to get people to act and walk in the way that they want. You see what I'm saying? That is just my thinking, my understanding. I know that I've got more to learn, but I know that it's not natural. Political statement.
Well, I believe racism still exists. Natural's a different word. So, anything you want me to elaborate on or any other questions? Would you want me to elaborate on racism? Okay, from what happened yesterday, I've experienced myself. I've been with, just say, Asian community and black community and a white community. I have witnessed police have separated the white community as superior and put us Asian and blacks together as we're inferior. So I've actually experienced it. So I believe it's some people in authority do abuse it. They abuse their authority. And that's much it really. People in power do abuse their authority. Not all, but majority, well, I'm saying majority now do. Or back in the day, it will still exist, but now because there's cameras, because now there's footage, there's social media, it's shared, everyone knows, everyone's getting more, awareness is greater and people are getting more welcome. Like, see there, I just personally think people in authority, like I said, they do abuse it. I've experienced it. So what's happened the other day, someone's got shot dead. It's the USA, wasn't it? Mark Jacobs, yeah. It's the same thing. Someone's had his back and they got shot dead. So, you know,
Well, as I see it, when before civilization, if you like, when people lived in tribes, the other tribe, their neighbours, were their enemies, and usually they distinguished each other. Like for instance, various Red Indian tribes in North America, they had sort of different hairstyles, different clothes, and they regarded them as the enemy.
the natives.
Huh?
The natives.
Yeah, they regarded their neighbours, or the further down the mountain or whatever, the mountains, they regarded them as their enemy. And if they
do you believe it's skin colour got to do with anything?
not necessarily, but
The natives weren't English, were they?
well, I mean, for instance, Africans, they're all black, and even with regard to
North Africa's not black.
no, sorry,
4,000 years.
sub-Saharan Africans.
Yeah.
They're
black.
not sub-Saharans, not black either. You have Fulanis, they're not black.
Well,
To say West and East Coast.
Habesha.
they're darker skinned,
Yeah.
and in the north,
Habesha.
and in the north, they were lighter skins.
What about
No,
the
the Northern
Rwandans
Arabs.
and the Houthis?
Well, like into
Algeria,
tribal
Morocco,
conflicts in
Not
Rwanda.
Northern Arabs.
They slaughtered each other
They murdered a million of them.
on the basis, just like, well, in Europe, the
Arabs,
English
they
and
only
the
been in
Germans
Morocco for
slaughtered each
300
other,
years.
or the English and the French.
They put Islam.
They were colonised by Arabs.
Excuse me,
Sorry.
if I'm talking to
Yeah,
these
sorry.
and it's being filmed, they won't hear what I say.
Well, I've got a right to speak too, haven't I?
Yeah, but afterwards,
Democracy.
oh, for blood,
But I listen to you, I apologise. I apologise.
Let him finish.
But don't have short temper. Go on.
look, okay, you speak.
That's all right, I listen to you.
You speak.
No, listen. Don't get forget the emotions. Come back. I'm listening to you.
No,
I'm
if
listening.
either one person
Let it go,
speaks
listen.
at a time,
I'll come back.
or
I was
speak,
speaking
you
to
speak.
you.
Were the Rwandans being racist against the tribe next door
Yes,
to them?
they have.
Where they murdered a million of them?
Yes. South Africa can be racist.
When was that?
Nigerians
10,
and Ghanaians.
15 years
Oh,
ago?
yeah, just like the English and the French.
Or can the black
Just like
black
English
people
between
be
each other,
racist?
Northern
I
Monkeys.
just
yeah,
wonder.
yeah.
Racism exists, but it's not
Of
just a
course.
colour. Racism exists just where you come from. You could come from Manchester. I come from London. I call you Northern Monkey. That's discrimination, isn't it?
I think it's prejudice, in it. It's not.
I believe that.
No, but do you think it's built? Is it with us or is it been taught?
No.
I think it's putting us. I think we have differences,
been
and
taught.
someone exploits them
It's
them
natural, though.
differences.
It's natural. Racism is
I
natural.
wouldn't say natural.
No,
I wouldn't say it's natural.
I tell you what's natural.
I wouldn't say
I tell you what's
natural.
natural. I walk in streets, and this has happened to all of us.
It's been taught.
No, hold on. Everything you've been taught in this life, you've been taught how to walk. That's what I'm saying to you. I walk in the streets.
Everybody wants to be included.
Yeah,
If you want to be
I
included
walk
and you
in-
feel like you're going to be excluded, you've got to point out. I've got to point out the differences of it to you, so you're with me.
You're not one of
It's more like
ours.
agenda talk. That's what my point is.
It is. It's an agenda.
It's agenda
The
talk.
racism.
The thing is, they're only blaming the Europeans.
No, that's wrong.
No, whereas, for instance, blacks in Africa were involved in slavery.
kidding.
They enslaved their neighbours, sold them to the
Yeah, but
Arabs.
that was for money.
Sold them to the Arabs.
And
the Arabs,
Go on then.
No,
the
that's
Arabs
not true.
marched them east and
European
west.
never sold to Arabs. The Arabs slaved the Africans, yes.
Well, they all did it
but
to
the
each
Europeans
other.
never sold the slave to the Arabs. The European took.
I didn't say they did.
Huh?
I s-
Well, I know, I'm not talking about you. But slavery, my brother, racism is not just a colour. Racism
not.
happen between tribals.
Yeah.
I'll give you for example.
Yeah.
A lot of people, for example, we can walk in streets here and we can say, yeah, fucking Jews, or we can say
Yeah.
fucking Somalians, or we say back in the 80s in this country, I remember when I came in 70s, back in the 80s we used to say Nigerian fraudsters. We generalized 250 million Nigerians. So when I say racism is natural, we've been taught this. That I come from, for example, my country, I come from Morocco, okay? I'm from the
I'm from Pakistan.
Pakistan. So I'm from the Berber side. Now, we despise Arabs. Because the reason why we despise Arabs in Morocco, because they oppress us for centuries not to speak our language.
What kind of Arabs? What kind of Arabs?
Arabs, they come from Middle East.
No, but there's so many different types, isn't it? What kind of Arabs?
Well, okay.
Saudi Arabia.
Let's take it deeper.
Well,
Let's take it
the
deep.
Arabian Peninsula.
Okay, let's take it
Arabian
deeper.
Peninsula.
Okay,
Okay,
let's
Arabian
take it
Peninsula.
deeper now. There's no such thing as Arab race, because Arab is not a race. If you're looking at the Arab of the word of Arab, what it means gypsy traveler. It doesn't mean who travel around and you settle down. That's what Arab
never heard
means.
of that.
No,
I've never heard of
I speak
that.
Arabic. Arabs,
time I've ever heard
there
of
is
that.
Arab, there's more Arab, and there's Arabi. It's free. And this is free of them. You say you're a traveler. So people who
So who was Bani Hashim and Quraysh? They were
Quraysh,
tribes.
the Jews,
They were tribes though.
the Jews, Quraysh,
It was a tribe.
Quraysh were Jews.
yeah, they were Jews. Quraysh,
They were
Jews.
pagan Arabs.
Well, Muhammad
No,
was
no,
No,
they
no.
weren't.
Quraysh.
But
Quraysh was pagan Arabs.
pagan Jews.
That's the topic. Racism.
Okay, let's stick with the topic of racism naturally. So come deeper to it. We, all of us here, we have some kind of prejudice. All of us here, we have some kind of prejudice. But to stand there to say the racism only exists between white people and black people, this is nonsense. Because if you go to South Africa, I was in Johannesburg last year. Do you know how many Nigerians and Ghanaians getting killed by South Africans? And do you know why they're killing them? Just because they happen to come from Nigeria. Now let's give you an example. Hutus and Tutsis kills a million of them. They look same features, because the Hutus and Tutsis. The British hated the Irish. And the Irish is the same colour. That's a prejudice. Now,
Is someone else exploiting the differences
Turks
again?
and
Or someone
Kurds.
that just to weaponise it?
we've been taught this. So it's a natural thing when you say natural.
It's
So what I'm trying to say, racism is not natural.
It is
it's
natural.
an agenda.
yeah.
It's an agenda.
We recognise the differences, and
It's
someone else
100%
exploits
agenda.
it.
Okay. Do you just
You can't be born racist. No one can be born
When
racist.
did the word racist come into
You
the
said
language?
earlier.
When did the word race come into the language?
when the racism? Some people say the racism
When they wanted to
started.
weaponise
Trotsky, I
it.
think.
When they wanted to
He was the
weaponise it.
first
Yeah,
one.
they
He was
weaponised
the
it.
he was
Some
the
people
first
say
one to use
racism.
it.
No, I reckon racism existed from civilizations.
Prejudice.
From back to Egyptian civilization, the pharaohs, they were against the Jews. That's a racism. If you look at every civilization, that's Sumerian or Phoenicians. You look
Yeah,
at every,
but it wasn't an old race. Though. It was somebody in that race that was
not a
wanting-
race, not a
They
race.
manipulated
Because
that
not a
race.
race. Because we're all same race.
But now it's
race.
all,
The human
now
race.
it's all
What's
But
the
they're
race?
all human
So
race.
what people
Now
pick up on your tribes.
Absolutely.
The racism started with your tribes
Certain
first,
differences,
before the
yeah.
colour. The colour just happened lately, probably happened about 300 years ago when the racism started with colour. Of course,
now
when
it's
the
all-
European was there, there was racism. But the racism existed before the Westerners comes to Africa.
But now it's all
the war
Europeans.
comes to
They're the
Africa.
only ones who are racist.
Well, that's rubbish.
Because European history is
There is a
nothing
lot
but
here.
genocide and racism.
There's less
You know, it's
racism.
nonsense.
There's less racism.
Who abolished slavery? The only people ever in history were the British who abolished slavery. No other people ever dreamed of
No,
it.
they didn't.
The British Embassy.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they
British
did.
never
Empire.
abolished it.
The British
They
Empire
went through
abolished
They did the
slavery.
British slavery.
Yes, they
No,
did.
Wilberforce, they did.
They did.
They put it through Parliament.
Empire.
And then
They
stopped-
forced.
One person.
No,
agree.
they forced the Moroccans in Sali and Algeria.
In Sali.
Sali and
What's Sali? What?
Sali, you know, the
They
Sali
also put
rovers.
weight on the colonies.
Sali
to
is
stop them.
Sali's in Morocco.
No, it's not. Sali is in Saudi.
No, it's not. Sali is a suburb of Rabat. And
You mean Salah?
Salah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Salah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Salah.
in
And that
some
used to
countries-
be,
Arab.
well, they used to be
Excuse me?
corsairs.
Just coming from somebody who's both, I'm half English and I'm half Moroccan, so I do come from a Muslim background. Instead of patronising and saying things like Salah, which you know you can't pronounce, why don't you pronounce it as prayer? Because you know what Salah is.
Salah is Salah.
Salah's worship.
Do you know
No,
what
what
I mean?
he
It's
means-
much similar to
No,
when they say
there's-
things like Allah.
No, he said.
No,
But
Salah.
But you
the-
can just call it God.
Sister,
because it's the
sister.
same.
No, we're not
same
talking
from-
about
Sister,
that.
sister,
We're
sister,
talking
sister,
about.
sister.
I'm just
Come
saying,
across
instead
like
of
that.
saying.
No, I'm just explaining something.
No, but she's trying to say it
Being
come across like
Moroccan,
that,
being Moroccan, you're gonna pronounce things better than somebody come from outside Morocco.
But if
Now I
could
can say
not
something in
pronounce Chinese, I would
Pakistani.
not try.
Huh?
If I could not pronounce Chinese, I would not try.
Yeah, but I can pronounce Pakistani.
She come to
things.
correct him basically.
I'm not gonna.
We're not talking about
I'm
God.
English and I'm Muslim. I'm from two backgrounds. Yeah.
We're from
And
Morocco.
I'm
We're from. We're from Morocco.
Marrakesh. That's why I'm so brown.
Same like
even
me.
though I'm mixed. Sure, sick. But when
I'm
you ever say,
Pakistani.
instead of saying things like Salah, because you cannot pronounce
You're past
Arabic, and
Moroccan.
that is not nothing bad against you, could you just say prayer? Because you know that.
No, he
you're
means
not
city.
talking about that. I'm
City.
talking about
He was talking about
Salah,
city,
which
which
is
is
a
a small city next to capital called
suburb
Rabat.
of Rabat.
Salah. Sla.
suburb of Rabat.
He's talking about
I'm sorry,
Salah.
I got the name wrong. I
thought you
thought
said
it was
Salah.
called
pronunciation. I
Sally.
thought you were saying.
No,
No,
I'm talking about.
But you know what? He
I'm
pronounces
very
it actually
much
right,
interested.
to be fair to him.
A suburb
That's what it's
of
called
Rabat.
in Morocco.
I'm
And
so
they used to
sorry.
be
To be fair to him, he
corsairs.
pronounced it right.
Okay, so
You know,
you're
Barbary
an,
pirate.
you're a.
No, Berber,
That's
they're not
what
the
we're
Arabs.
talking about.
They're
Sorry
Arabs
about
there.
that.
South Morocco is Arab. Northern Morocco is Amazigh. You have 5 tribes in Morocco, which is they come from northern Morocco. Originally they were pagans, right? When Arabs came, they brought Islam within 300 years
Some of
ago.
them were Jews.
Huh?
Some of the Berber tribes were
Racism.
Jews.
Right, I am.
Huh?
I am.
You're Jewish.
My background is Berber, they're Jews. But
Yeah, a
they
lot of
converted
them.
to
A lot of
Islam.
them.
No,
converted-
Berbers, they're all Jews.
Converted. No, they weren't
No,
all.
Atlas, Jews, Reef, is a
Do
Jews.
you think religion is a part of racism as well?
Yes. Yes. Religion is part of racism.
So it's been taught then.
Every
So that's what I'm saying, it's been taught.
Everything in life you've been taught.
That's what I'm saying, it's not natural.
Arabs are racist. Arabs are racist more than European. Let me tell you something. I lived.
So what do you think?
You
race-
said earlier up there, what would you do if you were walking down the street and you see me being attacked?
I
What
don't-
did you say?
I don't see colour.
Exactly, you jump in.
Of course I jump because
And
you
I
just
do
like
the
me.
exact
I'll
same.
defend anyone that's
Yeah, you
getting
just like me.
abused.
But saying that
I
to
don't
be
care who
fair,
you are.
But it's all everything now is
That
blamed
lady
on
jumped in.
Europeans.
You
British
wouldn't want to make that
Europeans.
mistake,
Why is that?
jumping in. She made a mistake jumping in.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Yeah,
talking
you
about
gotta know what
physically
you're
getting-
doing.
Someone's
Yeah,
physically getting
physically
attacked.
getting assaulted.
It helps
Yeah,
to know what you're
so someone's
doing.
getting assaulted. I don't care what you
to tell you
are.
the truth, to tell you the truth.
No one
if I
likes
can,
somebody
I will
being
defend.
oppressed.
To
No,
tell
it's
you
always
the
a
truth.
rule.
I've been in prison for 10 years. Okay?
For what?
And
I should have mentioned that really.
let's not get into
You
it.
should have
It's
said
personal,
it.
isn't it?
No, but,
personal.
yeah, but
So what was he in prison for?
I'm robbery. So if you want to know, there you go.